everybody. Happy Monday. Miss Trish here with another Coffee Chronicles. And today I have an awesome guest. Now, you may have seen me on her show before, but now it's time for her to do my show. So welcome, Miss Khadisha from Afro, Canada, Budsista. How you doing, love?
Thank you so much, Miss Trish, for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you. It's a second honor to work with you again. You know what I mean? It's so awesome.
I love it when we connect. And yes, you were on episode 6 of the Ms.Weed Wiki Speaks podcast. And I got to give you props because your episode is what triggered me getting creative with my titles.
Really?
Yes. So thank you. Because your episode, I remember, had so many little sound bites that stood out. And I was like, that's the title. Because before that, I would go into it just being, well, this is what we're going to discuss. Because if I knew what my guest did, I would, tailor my title and plan my episode that way.
Right.
My sesh with you and listening to it after was like, oh no, there are sound bites, like sound bites that are going to give me better titles than me just giving it an official whatever label. So thank you.
I love that. Thank you too. So, if nobody knows who you are, tell them who you are. Tell my audience who you are.
Hi, I'm Ms.Weed Wiki. I'm one half of the founding duo of the Afro Canada Budsistas, where we started. I have to stop doing that.
No, you totally need to do that. You do it. Okay.
Yeah, so we got together late last February 2020. Natalie, the co-founder, and my partner and I, we connected kind of haphazardly on Facebook. And it was by finding out accidentally, basically, that we were both into cannabis. We were in another group that was about cannabis investments, and someone had brought up a reservation with indigenous cannabis, and I had put a comment, and then Natalie commented under mine, and she's like, hey, I know you. Came up and slid in my DMs and was like, you bud? And I was like, yeah, you?
Right.
Because we'd met before, but we never knew that about one another.
Got you.
And so that highlighted something that struck a chord with both her and I. And that's Black women who smoke cannabis we didn't get to be upfront about it. It was almost like a secret discovery. Right. But there's reasons behind that, and the reasons are tied to a lot of bad propaganda surrounding the plant, which caused us even culturally as a community to suppress or eliminate our ties and distance ourselves from cannabis.
That's right.
The propaganda with the war on drugs, plus the racial discrimination and targeting of Black and brown peoples and our bodies for using or distributing cannabis. It's no wonder that even though we're 2.5 years almost post legalization, Black women aren't running out saying, yes, I love cannabis.
Right.
And A, feeling they could do it, B, celebrate it. Without repercussion. So after, some hanging out and sessions together and conversations, we realized, okay, is there another group like us out there? No.
Of course.
So we realized we'd have to create it.
And you did. And now you have 400 members, from what I understand, myself and a few my other friends being part of it. And we love it. Now, you do different days, which I love that. You know what I'm saying? I really love that. So since it's Monday, today is Motivation Monday, right?
Actually, that's ours is Meme Monday on Mondays.
Okay.
And we also celebrate the Budsista of the week, because that was the hallmark. Photos and selfies of Black women smoking or using cannabis. We love looking at images of ourselves because we're melanated goddesses.
Exactly.
But also, what would happen over the course of 5-6 months of these photos is we built up a photo library normalizing cannabis use.
That's right. That's good. And visuals are good. And I think that that's such a good angle to take, to have melanated empresses with cannabis and stuff like that. You need to do a Budsista of the week with edibles, because there's some some of us who engage, and I'll hold up my chocolates or my gummies or something of that nature, but you got to do one with the edibles. You also engage in Wellness Wednesday, which I've posted in before. Talk about that. How does that help the Bud Sisters of the group with Wellness Wednesday?
Okay, well, Wellness Wednesday, we always begin with a banner and we encourage our members to share how they're going to practice wellness that day.
Right.
And then with the late October and the way things were going with the pandemic, Natalie and I realized our connection opportunities were going to dramatically reduce during the winter, especially with how restrictions were going to increase. So we committed to hosting connection opportunities even off the Facebook platform, because there's limitations with it. We'd have connectivity issues, timing issues. People wouldn't know readily how to find us. So the transitioning to Zoom chats on a weekly basis made sense. And so we now host a mental health wellness check-in, mental health check-in every Wednesday, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. We played around with different parts of the day, but we've consistently found later in the day at night is the best time where you're going to consistently reach and connect, because, noon today could be great for you, but it's 9 a.m. in Vancouver. Somebody could be busy. And that's the other amazing revelation with these check-ins. We started having Bud Sisters join us from all over, not even just in our group on Facebook, but we have Bud Sisters who are our faithful followers on Instagram, and they join us from Alabama, they join us from Virginia, the DMV, or Maryland, New York City, and Vancouver, Surrey, BC. There's a lot of representation. Sometimes Texas. We had Texas on our last call.
That is good on you guys.
And so it's not even just in legal states. It's great when we're connecting with women in legal states, but the Zoom provides this opportunity to even connect with some women who are in non-legal states.
Exactly. And so now when we open back up, are we, because I'm including myself, are we planning to do events that are outside of Canada and outside, you know what I'm saying? Outside of our regions, even outside of Toronto and Montreal, because as you live in Ontario, I live in Quebec. Are you planning to, you should kind of do this everywhere? Is that a part of the goal, part of the plan?
Yes, part of the plan. We have a few definitely major projects ahead of us. Natalie graduates with her horticulture diploma from Durham College in April. That's, graduation or bust. And then we expect to start a lot of our growing initiatives at that point with Natalie, but also what we plan to do post pandemic, post lockdowns, when we're able to move more freely, we will definitely be hosting mental health workshops and seminars across the country in key cities. I want to get in front of Black women everywhere. I need to get in their faces, and it's not always just going to work with Facebook. Facebook has been a wonderful tool. Instagram has been a wonderful tool to grow. But if I want to help someone with arthritic pain or with insomnia or, anxiety or depression, or to just even talk about the wonderful benefits of CBD, I have to get into people's church basements, community centers, and wherever we are, so that we can have conversations about cannabis.
You definitely have to get into the places where it's also not most common. And you just said a church basement, which I think would be so revolutionary if you did get into a church basement. Can you imagine you did? Oh my God, I'd be cheering you on from behind. Because unfortunately, that's where the negative connotation of cannabis comes from. Unfortunately, we're taught these things in church, that cannabis is bad and, it's not good for you. And after it fries your brain and all these kinds of stereotypes and things like that. However, I want to flip that and ask you, how has cannabis actually helped you in your life and your entire journey?
Thank you for asking. Well, my early exposure to cannabis started in later college. And I would take it with the effect, I would smoke cannabis with the expectation, something's going to happen, and I'd be underwhelmed. Now, maybe that was Montreal cannabis, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Because the first time I actually got high was on a group field trip to Washington, D.C. We were visiting Howard University when I was in Champlain College. And I don't know quite how we got there, but we were hanging with some friends there, and the first blunt I ever saw was getting passed around. And since I'm,
Wow.
Judy
You're you.
Joyner, I'm
Yeah.
going to take the blunt and
Right.
smoke it.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
2 puffs, and I was like, oh, something feels different.
You're like, oh, okay. Well, alrighty then.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
Exactly. Now, it wasn't such a profound experience that made me want to keep looking for it, but it was
Right.
really around me. And whenever it was, like if it was someone I was dating or someone I hung out with, I would smoke if a joint was passed around.
Right.
I didn't actually start making my own purchases for cannabis until about 3-4 years ago, when I started struggling with some shoulder pain. And I was finding sleeping at night, especially if you would roll over or shift on the bad shoulder,
Yes.
I'm up, right?
Right.
So I realized, first, once I could find a way to get cannabis, shout out to my son's barber at the time. I think that was the first person I paid. Could you hook me up with some weed? And he's like, I don't sell, but you know somebody, right?
I know you know someone who knows someone.
Exactly.
Okay.
But that's what I had to do. But it wasn't sustainable. I'll be completely honest, but legalization was coming. But I'll give you an example of how hard it was, though, to get cannabis for therapeutic purposes. I reached out to my doctor in January of 2018, and I said, listen, I'd like to look at getting some medical cannabis. Could you refer me to a medical cannabis doctor? And he said, oh, no, I don't know anything. I don't do those things. Oh. You would have thought I asked him to arrange a back alley deal.
Oh my goodness, really?
And I need to set the stage for you, because I'm with my intelligence, my cannabis education now. This was 2018 January. Right. In 2018 January, medical cannabis had already been in place for 17 years. Absolutely. But this is how conventional medicine, how our family doctors were treating it.
Exactly. Like it was poison.
Like it was poison. So, and while treating it like it's poison, and then, here's another renewal of your
prescription,
or your Celebrex, your naproxen, anything, to keep, renewing that. Right. So, but the good news was that, legalization was coming, and that was going to open up access to adult use recreational cannabis, which was amazing. And that's how, Natalie and I started connecting. But through our growing of the Afro Canada Budsistas, which just actually hit over 500 members, as of I want to say 4 days ago.
Beautiful.
So
hey. We gotta drink to that. Wait a minute. We gotta drink to that. It's Coffee Chronicles. You gotta drink to that. Come on now.
Yes. Yes, sis.
Yes. Amen. That's
I needed that.
Yes. Definitely. That's what's up. Yeah. I love it.
But we realized we were going to create this platform to share the resources. And it was through that, our Budsistas, I connected eventually with a medical cannabis clinic and got my medical cannabis prescription. And now I have my license to grow as well. I can grow medical cannabis as well.
Oh my gosh, that is good.
Yeah. So, good. But you see, this was a path we had to undertake ourselves.
Absolutely.
And medical cannabis has been legal since 2001, but adult use has been legal since 2018, October. It still takes these steps. This is not widely spread knowledge. So you're right. I have to get where people are. I have to meet them where they are, whether it's a community center basement in Truro, Nova Scotia, or, a community center in Montreal. I'm going to be there. I'm going to go and we are going to pair up with clinics and arrange to have specialists and educators and health practitioners in the cannabis field to talk, because you're right. The education isn't out there, but they won't necessarily take it coming from me. They're going to have to also hear it from some other educators and healthcare professionals, but we can meet them where they are, and it has to start now.
That's it. And you know who they can also get the information from? People who have taken it and whose lives it has changed. Nothing is better than experience, right? So let's say someone who has a shoulder pain, has been taking, medical cannabis for so long, and they've actually waited out, naproxen or cannabis. They can
Yes.
tell you because they know what they feel. And the thing is, what you do with that is you get more than one person who have taken different, anti-inflammatories versus the cannabis to say
Yes.
what their experiences are. Because it can only come from the patient. Like the doctors can say so much, but if they've never done it, you know what I mean? There's no way
Right.
that you relate. So when you do that, your angle should be like to just get people to say, listen, this is what happened with me. You know what I mean? And
yes,
it worked for me, especially, another problem with what we have that are common amongst a lot of people is insomnia, which
yes,
we discussed before, right? I have
yes,
a hard time sleeping sometimes. So for me, it's if I take the chocolate that has the, the indica infused in there, I sleep like a baby, right?
exactly.
These are
And you're hitting on a great point, because
right.
talking more about edibles, especially in audiences that are resistant to, because of the negative stigmas previously
Right.
associated with cannabis,
Right.
talking to them about infusing their food, infused products, balms, topicals, tinctures, that will change the conversation and the perspective for them as well.
Exactly.
So we definitely will approach with all angles.
Exactly.
It's not my expectation that I'm going to create a tribe of weed smokers throughout the country.
Well, yeah.
But cannabis users, yes.
That's
definitely.
There's a different term, and that's a thing. Like I think that it would be great, and you're already doing this. It's not that you're saying let's smoke weed. It's let's use cannabis to make our lives better. You know what I'm saying? And that is a perfect angle to take, because as we discussed, it's the smoking weed. People say is so bad and so negative all the time. Now, you said your son's barber. Is your son a cannabis user?
No, my he's not of age. He's 14 and he has no interest in it. He understands it's my medication as well as my recreational my recreational product of choice. My relaxation product of choice. He gets that and he understands it, as well as, the way I talk about it in language. I use that very intentionally at home now, because he's the next generation. To be honest, his perspective, even before I came out to him, and I didn't come out to him, he caught me. There's a blog I wrote, a blog post about that on the Afro Canada Budsista's website. So I encourage the listeners.
That's
definitely. But ever since I was discovered,
yes, I understand,
and came out, I'm very intentional about the language I use, but it wasn't that big a deal to him. And it's because generationally it isn't. So by the time he hits adulthood, it's not going to be the same product that it was. Yes.
Okay. So what advice would you give parents who are nervous about letting their children know that, hey, I use recreational cannabis, or I use it for my medicine, or if they use it in any way? What would be some tips for them, those parents?
I would say, and that's a great question. Thank you for asking. I would say you have to look at meeting them where they are. So the answer is based on the age and maturity level of the child. Okay. Cannabis, for a child now, I would say if you're using it recreationally, I think you should be able to treat it the same way you would treat any discussion about alcohol or beer or tobacco, if that's what you do.
I love that. Okay.
And and I'm not saying I was like that originally, but this is how the product has evolved. So there's nothing wrong with treating it that way. If you use it medically, talk about it in medical terms. Talk about what you're using it for, and but always outline that it's not for children. And be honest. If they have questions, answer the questions. Just like if my son had questions about wine or liquor, I wouldn't shy away from it.
Exactly.
I would answer those questions. So I would treat questions about cannabis the same way.
Absolutely.
And don't feel bad if you don't have ready access to resources to have those conversations. Reach out to someone who does. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to cannabis educators and advocates. And, YouTube and Google can be your friend as well. There's there's growing material about how to have these conversations with kids, because it has been legal coast to coast in Canada for over 2 years now.
Right. Exactly. So talk to me about also edibles, because I'm an edibles person, right?
Yes.
So what is the difference in your opinion?
Edibles, here's the thing with edibles. I personally have I've struggled sometimes with enjoying edibles.
Okay.
And that ties down to dosing and understanding the ingestion period and how long it's going to take to affect, because it's being absorbed first with your stomach and then, you know, in your bloodstream.
Right.
That I'm just getting, you know, bare bones scientific about it.
Right. That's okay.
Infusing though, part of my resistance, I think, to edibles too is I already had a very unhealthy relationship with food that I had to break out.
Okay.
So I didn't want to start tying my medicine to my food enjoyment, like, you know, food enjoyment.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does make
that
sense.
being said, when you talk to there are some amazing food infusers and specialists out here in the cannabis space. People like Nicole Hines of Faded Living really have amazing conversations, and they put on workshops and tutorials about how to infuse your food. So she takes the savory angle. She infuses Caribbean food, Jamaican food, with cannabis. And that approach, if I could have done that first, I probably would have gone head first into edibles more quickly.
Okay.
So think about it, instead of looking at getting, what's readily available now, on the market are chocolates and gummies and baked goods. But if you can get into learning how to infuse your savory food, you can make mango chutney and infuse that.
Right?
You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You can make dips. You can infuse your salad dressing.
Absolutely.
You can, and I think once I graduate into doing that, then I'm going to be all on board.
That's good. I like that. I'm going to drink to that because I think that's so positive. That is like, that's a good angle to take, you know?
I can't take credit. That's Nicole Hines and
that's okay.
her business, but I love amplifying it because she has a great perspective.
Right.
And we need to spread that. Also, part of my struggle with edibles too is when you're having candies, you have to start worrying, can my kid accidentally take this?
Absolutely, because they do look very similar to regular candies. Every candy, for those of you guys who don't know, every candy could be unedible. I've actually seen Sour Patch Kids, Little Peaches, things like that. It is crazy what can look like it's not infused and it's actually infused. What would you tell a sister who is like reluctant to join our group, who's like, oh, I don't want my work to find out. Oh, I don't want, you know, like, because our group is cool. Like, I mean, I can't participate in everything because I do have everything else going on, but I do like everything because I genuinely do love it, right? But I was just like, oh, I can't go to the pajama party. I try to make time and then something else happens. But if it was someone from the outside looking in who was like apprehensive about it, what advice would you give her to join our group and not like to have her not feel that way?
Well, out of the 500 plus members we have, a lot of them are lurkers. I would have to be, if I were honest, I'd say there's probably a quarter that post and interact. There are a lot of members in our group who don't use cannabis regularly, but the conversations, they're there because the conversations stimulate them.
Yes.
Educate them, interest them. Yes. We have lawyers, we have doctors, we have professionals in our group, but you know, you have complete control over your Facebook ID. You can join under, you know, whatever alias, as long as we can verify you're a Black woman, you know, we're going to let you into the group. And then after that, nobody's going to call you out. It's a judgment-free zone. And it totally is. We promote so much sisterhood that's why people stay. I think that's honestly why they stay.
And I can attest to that. We really do, and you guys really do, and you guys do a great effort at doing that. And I think that's so important that you highlight that sisterhood, because some people are afraid to speak. They're afraid to talk. They're afraid to, you know, just be, you know what I'm saying? And the fact that you guys are so welcoming, it is, to anyone who's scared, it's a group to join. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It is a group to join. Even if a quarter of the people are posting, my advice would be don't be afraid to post, because you're never going to get a judgment. You know what I mean? Unless you're judging. And that's another thing. We're not judged in that group for anything. And when I say anything, like anything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
As long as we're not, and what's good is no one's sitting there bashing, no one's sitting there offending, nobody's sitting there being negative. It really is about sisterhood, you know?
Yes.
And I think that that's really important. And congratulations to you for that. That's amazing for starting that. And I'm behind like everything. I swear, like if you need me, I'm a certified event planner. I'm there for you, you know.
Listen, city
Totally.
to city, coast to coast. I'm
Trust
going
me.
to connect with you because I am one person and my background is insurance litigation. So I'm not going to pretend that I know how to host an event, or like how to curate the event. I could definitely do angles of it and MC and facilitate. But an event planner, that is not my background. So I'm definitely going to be reaching out to you. We want to like grow organically as well.
Yes.
You know, we are a group full of special and amazing women, and I want to tap them first as we travel across the country. So trust me, when we do our mental health day in Montreal, I'm going to connect with you for sure. I'm
coming to Toronto too, Port Oregon, South Shore, anywhere you need me, to be honest with you, because this is such a movement that I'm very, very happy to be a part of. What is next for you, my beautiful Khadisha? What is next for you, darling?
Well, the Ms.Weed Wiki Speaks podcast continues to get released every Sunday, and it's really a huge part of my happiness. It makes me happy connecting with people, learning their cannabis journey, learning what they do with cannabis, and bringing that to audiences as well. I've really enjoyed doing that. I'm working hard at growing the audience, but I'm still new at it's like I got the format together and everything, but it was like, okay, now I have the product. How do I do it? So, you know, I'm trying to learn about SEOs and things like that as well to widen the scope, because my one fear is having a bunch of great information, but nobody knows it's there. So I'm going to be concentrating while Nat is finishing up her last semester. I'm going to be concentrating on optimizing our website, which is www.afrocanadabudsistas.com, so that it's coming up more readily, easily in different searches, and continue to produce great content for the podcast. Natalie's going to be one of my guests very soon, so stay tuned for that. And we're going to ready everything so that whenever we can emerge from the darkness of this pandemic and time period, that we hit the ground running.
That's it. And you will hit the ground running. Just, you know what? My only thing with you is just keep going. You know what I mean? Keep going. Because it's a great thing. And it's great to be on your show as well. It was very welcoming. I have to say, you guys, it was a very awesome experience to be on your show. You know, you're doing amazing at it. So keep doing
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I really want to start doing IG lives more too. I know I tend to be kind of, once I'm working on one, I forget the others.
That's okay.
But I want to start putting more IG lives. I'm trying to get better at posting my content once a week, you know, scheduling it so that it frees up my time. Because what I was finding is it's very hard to be spontaneous creatively. You know, I'm not used to it. There are people who can turn it on like that.
That's okay. And everybody's different. But you know what? The thing is, at least you're putting it out there. And my advice to you, again, be consistent with that. And then after, you're already consistent. You're already on your way. Do you know what I mean? The more people see is like, the more people will gravitate towards you. Plus your energy is great. And it's just great. It's totally just great. Where can everybody find you if they want to get more information, listen to your show, read your blog?
Awesome. You can find me on Instagram at Ms._Weed Wiki. So MS_Weed Wiki. And you can find me on Twitter at Ms. Khadisha T. You can find our website, www.afrocanadabudsistas.com. My podcast is available. The Ms.Weed Wiki Speaks podcast, which is released every Sunday, is always available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It's coming on to Streaker, I want to say, and a bunch of others. And so keep an eye out for that. I also have Sunday sessions happening every Sunday. My guest this Sunday will be Khatrizi. Raz Khatrizi is a cannabis artist, like a cannabis, well, sorry, he's an artist in the cannabis space. He's a hip hop artist, and he does a lot in the cannabis space as well. He's also a former professional athlete. So it was a great discussion. So keep an eye out for that.
Definitely.
And I'm enjoying my work too with the People's Alliance of Cannabis in Canada. So I'm a founding member, a treasurer for them, as well as lead for the BIPOC inclusion in cannabis team. We are hosting our town hall in February. So I really would encourage anybody who's interested, who's Black, Indigenous, or a person of color interested in getting into the cannabis industry, DM me, reach out to me, come check our town hall on February 16th, 2021.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Khadisha, thanks for coming on, joining me on Coffee Chronicles. I really do appreciate you. Thanks for spreading the word about cannabis. You're awesome.
Thank you.
You're amazing.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. You're coming back. We're gonna do more work together, as we just stated. You know what I'm saying? But folks,
I can't wait.
Definitely follow her. Follow her. You'll get awesome information. It's very easy information as well. You will not be confused. And, listen to that podcast as well, because there's some amazing guests on there. Again, it's released every Sunday. So check it out. Thank you guys. And I'll see you guys again soon.